Hello everyone. So in today's video, you will be learning how to solve two-step and multi-step equations. Now, as for the previous video, we just saw how to add and subtract equations or to multiply and divide equations. So this is going to be a mix of all the operations which we have learned in the two previous videos. So that's why it's called a two-step or multi-step equations. You will of course need more than for one question you will need to do two things, either divide or subtract, add or divide, something like that. Okay, so to start with, always, as I've always said in all the videos, we need to remember the inverse operations. Now we have seen this quite a lot of times, the operations and the inverse of them. So these are the four operations which we always have: addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. And the inverse of each of this is addition's inverse is subtraction, inverse of subtraction is addition, the inverse of multiplication is division, and the inverse of division is multiplication. And this is one more very important thing. If you want, you can just pause the video, take a screenshot and keep it with you, or display it anywhere, maybe over your study place, so that whenever you see, you will know what you have to do. These are the integer rules, where when you have the same signs, what do you have to do when you're adding? When you have different signs, what do you do when adding? Now in this video, I'm not going to repeat it, but I'm going to attach the video in which I have taught you all the rules. So there is you can click on the I above to just go and watch the video if you have forgotten. Else you can just look at the screen and take a screenshot of this too and keep it somewhere where you always see it. Take a printout and put it wherever you are studying. Okay, now moving on to today's lesson, let's see, we have to solve each equation and check the answer. As usual, we have to check to make sure that the answer is correct or not. Okay, so the equation says -4 plus 7x equals 3. By now, we know the rules. We need to solve the numbers first so that we can solve for the variable. So when solving for the number, we have to first solve the numbers. So what happens is the -4 will move to the other side of the equation. So what happens is it becomes a +4. So 7x equals 3 plus 4. Now, as we know, it gives us 7. 7 equals 7. So now it is 7 multiplied by x equals 7. So the opposite of multiplication is division. X equals 7 divided by 7, which will give you an answer of 1. Now you want to check it, you can go ahead and check the same way which you have checked the previous in the previous lessons. So first write the equation, that's -4 plus 7x equals 3. Then you replace the answer which you got for x in place of x. So that will give you a 7. So -4 plus 7 will give you, of course, a 3. That means both sides of the equation are correct. So which means the answer we got is right. Let's move on to the next example. We have n divided by 7 plus 2 equals 2. As always, solve the number first. So for solving the number, then plus 2 moves to the other side. So what do you think that will become? That becomes a -2. So n over 7 equals 0. 2 minus 2 equals 0. Now, this is n divided by 7. So to leave the n alone, we have to do the opposite of divide, which is multiply. So we are going to multiply 0 with 7, which is going to give you a 0. Any number multiplied by 0 is a 0. Now let's check it, whether the answer we got is right or not. So write the equation as in the question, then replace n with 0. So 0 divided by 7 is a 0. Any number divided by 0 is going to give you a 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. So 2 equals 2. Both sides of the equations have 2, which means again our answer is correct. Let's move on to another example. Okay. Now this one, as you can see, has parentheses. Always remember, if there is no sign in front of the parentheses, that means you need to multiply each of these terms which are inside the parentheses. If there was a plus or minus sign here, don't multiply. As there is nothing here, that means you have to multiply each of the terms inside. So let's multiply them first. So that's what the order of operations is too. PEMDAS, right? So parentheses first. So you're going to multiply. 5 ones will give you how much? That will give you a 5. And then minus sign, it's there. So 5 multiplied by -2 will give you a -10. So minus 10w plus 8w equals 15. All that you have to do is arrange this equation. Now keep the numbers on one side and keep the variables on one side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this positive 5 to the other side. So that will become a minus 5. So minus 10w plus 8w. They don't change the signs as they are already on the same side. So we are changing only the side of the number. So this will give you a negative 2w equals 10, which is 15 minus 5 is 10, and negative 10 plus 8. As you know, they both have different signs. So when you have different signs, you have to subtract, but take the sign which the bigger number has. So it's negative 2w equals 10. So w equals 10 divided by negative 2. So that's going to give you a negative 5. W equals negative 5. If you want to check, you can replace the w with negative 5s. Then you can check whether you are getting 15. Let's do it orally. Let's do it mentally and orally quickly. So this is going to give me negative 5 means negative 2 multiplied by negative 5. That's going to give me a positive 10, right? Positive 10. And again, this is going to give me a negative 40. So you will have 5 in parenthesis 1 plus 10w plus, it's going to be negative 40w. So you can solve and see whether you're getting a 15 or not. But if you have got w equals negative 5, that means you are right. Okay. Now, this is another kind of question which will be given to you in the form of a sentence. If 2x plus 4 equals negative 24, find 3x. Now, you have to find 3x. This is the question, find 3x. But how do we know what's the value of x? So all what you need to do is in this question, it's very, very, very important. We find the value of x first. Only then we can find x, 3x without knowing what's x. How can we find what's 3x? So first let's find the value of x. For you finding the value of x, you need to use this equation here, which is 2x plus 4 equals negative 24. So you have to use this equation. So let's solve it first. So what happens in the next step is the plus 4 will move to the other side. That will give you a minus 4. So 2x equals negative 24, negative 4 minus 4. That will give you a negative 28. So 2x is equal to negative 28. X will be equal to negative 28 over 2, which is going to give you x is equal to 14. 28 divided by 2 is 14. But because we are dividing a negative sign, so the answer will be negative. So x is equal to negative 14. Now, to the next step, once you have found the value of x, we can find the value of 3x. Now, we just substitute the value of x here and we find out what's 3x. So next step is find the value of 3x. So we got from the previous step that x is equal to negative 14. So what we are going to do is just replace x with negative 14. That means 3 multiplied by x, which is 3 multiplied by negative 14, which will give you a negative 42. So the value of 3x is negative 42. It's easy. Only remember the two steps. The most important step, find the value of x and then find the value of the expression which they give you. That's all. So hopefully this is a very easy lesson as we have already done enough. And as I always say, practice, keep practicing. Just run behind practice the way this girl is running behind. Run behind the questions. You will get perfect in solving the question. So till we meet again in the next video, keep practicing.